Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Happy June. Today I'm going to share with you some of my favorite things from last month, so let's get into it. The first thing on my list is the Devo documentary on Netflix. This came out in 2024 and was directed by Chris Smith, who I'm unfamiliar with, but Lewis and I just watched this last week and we both really loved it. It had been on my watch list for a while. I feel like someone recommended it to me, but I can't recall who. I wouldn't say I was particularly a fan of Devo going into it. I know some of their music because it's been featured in Wes Anderson movies, and Mark Mothersbaugh, who was in Devo, has worked with Wes Anderson a lot too, making music compositions for his films. So I came into this documentary as a fan of Mark Mothersbaugh, but I left with a lot of love for the band Devo and everything they stood for. I was really delighted by their philosophy and their fight for artistic integrity. Even though they aren't grouped with the punks usually, I thought they really embodied the spirit of punk and in general were very smart and unique. I thought the whole documentary was inspiring and fun to watch. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. The second thing on my list is the Tantric Dakini Oracle deck. I've had this Oracle deck for a while, at least 6 or 7 years, but I haven't really connected with it too intensely despite loving the art. Here's the book. Here are the cards. They've got like a cosmic background. Some mysterious force has been drawing me to this deck, and I began picking a few cards here and there, and now I'm finding it really helpful and inspiring. I had originally seen this deck at my friend Sarah's apartment. She's a professional tarot reader, psychic, witch, so her collection of decks is really amazing. This one is based on Tantric iconography and symbolism, and Tantric refers to the esoteric yoga tradition and philosophy. The deck was created by Penny Slinger and Nick Douglas, I believe in the late 70s, and I picked a few cards today. Number 23, which is called Maya, How She Spins, and I also picked number 40, which is called Blow Your Mind. The one tricky thing I will say about these cards is the writing in the book that accompanies them can be a bit extra. The meaning or lesson in the card will be phrased in a way that I feel like I have to break down into a simpler understanding for myself. For example, in Maya, How She Spins, the first sentence is, Maya, how she spins, bears the number 23, signifying the combination of complementary opposites united with the threefold truth of all existence, in parentheses, as for creation, preservation, and dissolution. End parentheses. At first glance, I feel like this sounds a bit obtuse and wordy, and maybe that's why I originally had a hard time connecting to the cards, but something in me flipped and now I find it delightful to decipher what it is they're saying. Blow Your Mind is a bit more straightforward. It begins by saying, blow your mind bears the number 40, signifying the completion of a period of intense self-discipline and the arrival at a sudden spiritual release. And then it goes into a longer description. Anyways, I'm going through a Tantric Dakini Oracle deck phase right now, and it's especially fun because I'm very familiar with the Rider-Waite-Smith tarot deck, which is the one I normally use. That's the most well-known one, and this feels very intriguing since I'm not familiar with any of the cards. There's a lot to learn, which is exciting. 3 is traditional Dutch clothing. One of my favorite books that I own is this book of photographs of people wearing traditional Dutch clothing. My mom brought this back from the Netherlands a while back, and every so often I'm drawn back to it, and I always find it really enchanting. I've mentioned before on here that my mom is Dutch, so I'm half Dutch, and this year especially I feel a strong urge to connect to my Dutch ancestry. The photos are truly beautiful in here. I love the clothing, the patterns, the fabrics, the shapes, and I also love the people's faces and the scope of generations being photographed in here. There are photos of very young children, and there are photos of seniors, and then a lot of ages in between as well. This really makes me want to make clothes. When I was a fashion design student at FIT, I made a dress inspired by this book, and I actually won an award for it, and then that resulted in me getting an internship at Carolina Herrera. I still have the dress, it just doesn't fit me anymore, and I haven't really been storing it properly. Number 4 is angels. Because I'm still dealing with the grief of losing my cat Uzi, I find myself very much drawn to the imagery of angels, and I find myself wanting to depict angels in my work. This isn't necessarily new for me. I've made a lot of work about angels in the past. I tend to depict them quite abstractly, like a light with wings or butterflies with stars. I think of angels as messengers, and I suppose it's helpful for me to imagine that Uzi is an angel now. But yeah, I have this on my list of May favorites because I'm definitely focusing on the realm of angels right now. Number 5 is forcing myself to not wear my hokas. This might seem like a weird one to have on my list of May favorites, but it has brought me a lot of joy to force myself to wear any of my shoes besides my Hoka sneakers. Hokas are great because they're super supportive for walking, which I do a lot of, but they truly ruin most of my outfits, in my opinion. Mostly I've been reaching for my loafers or my pink sandals instead, and I find myself enjoying my outfits much more and feeling more like myself too. Okay. Number 6 is my duck umbrella. A couple weeks ago, there was a string of days where I kept getting caught in the rain. After the 3rd or 4th time, I popped into a favorite local shop of mine. It's called Goodbye Supply, and I treated myself to this green duck umbrella. I think the brand is Original Duck Head. Lewis and I really love Goodbye Supply. It's a refill store in South Philadelphia, and they also have lots of thoughtful and earth-friendly home items, books, products. I've seen these umbrellas there every time I go. They have them in many different colors, and I've always wanted to get one. Now that I have one, I don't regret it. It's nice quality, it's super cute. It makes me happy every time I use it because of the duck head, and I no longer resent rainy days as much. The last thing on my May favorites list is heart opening yoga. So I practice Jivamukti yoga. I have a subscription to the Jivamukti online yoga classes. I'd say I do a class at least 3 to 4 times a week. Over the years, I have really connected with this style of yoga, both the physical movements and the philosophy. This last year has been tough for me because, well, first my shoulders and arm injuries can prevent me from practicing the way I want to practice. And also I am beginning to really miss the community of in-person classes. There's a lack of Jivamukti teachers in Philadelphia. But anyways, because of my shoulder issues, I've been doing a lot of heart opening classes. And I feel like it's not only great for my shoulders and posture, but it's also helping me work through some of my grief around losing Uzi. I recently took a heart opening class by the teacher Johannes Mikenda, and I found it to be very inspiring. In Jivamukti yoga, most teachers have a short discussion or focus that they talk about as the class is starting. For this one, Johannes talked about how when we try to open our heart, we try to open our capability to give and receive love, physically, emotionally, and mentally. And during a gentle meditation, he had us take a moment to think about a person or living being that we really love, and then to send love to that being, thinking, may you be happy, may you be free, and may you know how much I love you. And then he also set the intention for the class to be, may my heart be open, may I be open to the beauty and love around us, and may my heart stay open in challenging times. I just really love this aspect of setting intention before a yoga class. For me, it's really powerful. It makes the class about more than just working out. I think it helps me clarify my vision around how I want to be with my life and work. In another part of the class, he quoted Sharon Gannon, one of the founders of Jivamukti Yoga, and the quote was, Through repetition, magic is forced to arise. And this struck me right away. I guess I had a bit of an aha moment, as they say. I think I'm going to look to that quote as my summer slogan. Through repetition, magic is forced to arise. Magic is a process, and just because you can't see growth doesn't mean that it isn't happening. Okay, everyone. That's what I've got for today. I'm excited that it's June. I'm looking forward to the summer solstice and making lots of summer plans and crafty videos. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back so soon. Bye!